Hello, everyone. Welcome to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. You're listening to the Business Showcase. I am your host, Cece Shatz. I am the Doyenne of Relationship Building, and I'm the president of Going Solo Network. Our website, our main website is goingsolonetwork.com. You'll find everything that we're doing on there, but our radio station, WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, is right above me. It's goingsolomedia.com, and all of our great shows are on there. So let's talk about business today, because I think that is on the tips of everyone's tongue. How are we going to make money in today's world, right? With the pandemic going on, everything happening. Can we truly connect? And that's what our show is going to be about today, business connection. Because I feel as we continue to evolve, we need the help of other people, right? We need to be able to connect with them. And what better person to connect with is our wonderful guest here today. We're going to bring her forward here so you guys can see her. And she's a good friend of mine, Joanne Weiland. She has a wonderful website called linktoexpert.com. And we're going to talk about business connection today. Welcome, Joanne.
Thanks, Cece. I appreciate you inviting me.
It's nice to have you. It's nice to see you again. Well, tell us a little bit about your journey. You've always been a successful businesswoman, but you've actually established your business, Link to Expert. And that's really connecting people, which I think is pretty awesome. So tell us about your journey, how you decided to go this route.
Well, I was in corporate America for most of my life, up until the last, say, 18 years. And when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do next, I started taking all those tests. Or what you want to be when you grow up kind of tests, like, your personality, your, strengths, your weaknesses, all that stuff. And they kept coming up that I was a connector. And I thought to myself, well, so what? Everybody's a connector. And it sounds silly, but whatever you do well, you kind of think the whole world can do it well as well. And so then I started, thinking about it, and I was realizing hardly ever did anybody connect me, but I was always introducing people. I did global alliances before global alliances were cool. I sold helicopters when I was 19 all over the world to different people, and we would buy them and sell them to different people in the world. And we were communicating via telex, via single sideband radios. My first IBM PC was serial number 77. So we learned also not just to have the connections, but to communicate and connect to people. And so, I don't know, it sounds silly, but again, I did that from younger. And then when I got into the computer business, after that, I was always doing global alliances, because a lot of people that we had to put the solutions together for the computers needed different pieces to make it one solution. And then another part of it that people don't always realize, but when you're doing advertising, for an example, back in the day, we would do these one-page ads on Computer Reseller News, just as an example. And Cece, the ad would cost $10,000. And I thought, oh my goodness, I would spend all my budget for the quarter. And anyway, long story short, I thought, well, what if I get 9 other vendors to get in the ad with me, and then we could have 10 ads and each pay $1,000 per ad and still spend $10,000, but we would be seeing 10 times more. And so I started doing that just as an example, connecting us and creating this ad called like a solution ad. And so I'm rambling, but I mean, I guess to me, I was been a connector without knowing I was a connector.
Well, it's I know you think that it's not anything special, but let me tell you, it is special, because not everyone is a connector. Not everyone is someone that honestly thinks of other people. They're geared towards their business, no disrespect, but they're geared towards their business or towards whatever they're doing. And they've got like blinders on, and they're just focusing on, their vision of where they want to go to, which is all great. But then you have the other ones that see a bigger picture, and they see the world for what it is. And that's why the internet is so successful,
Right?
Because it's really connecting. Someone had the vision of connecting other people together and understanding that we need that connection, and how much better it is. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing that what you do. And so we want to commend you for that, most certainly. But let's talk a little bit about in today's world, because now we have COVID, right? And so we are limited on some of the things that we can do. But how can we collaborate with other people to be able to come together in business?
Well, that's a great question. And I really feel like the pandemic has actually caused more connections than not. And I think it's really exciting because when I created Link to Expert in 2007, that was my whole intent. Basically, what I just talked about, what I learned, what I really found from all of that, working with all those business owners for the over 20 years, I found that the average business owner worked in their business, not on their business. And the ones that actually, most of them all had incredible ideas, Cece, but only about 5% of them implemented their ideas. And the 5% that did hired somebody to help them, say like a coach, a consultant, a trainer, a team builder, a facilitator, different people to come into their business and either work with them directly, the executive or the business owner, or to work with their team and implement these ideas that they had. Because of the fact that the other 95% didn't do it, I wanted to know why. Why wouldn't you do that too? And this is another aha I had, was because I was always traveling and working with business owners all over the world. I didn't realize most people didn't know that many people. I remember when we first got cell phones, I went back to the store at Nextel at the time and asked them, what is wrong with my phone? I can't add any more people. And they said, well, we never knew anybody that had more than 800 people in their contacts. I said, so that was an aha for me. But when I really studied the other 95% of the people that didn't implement their ideas, because I would go back and visit them, and back in the day it was eyeball to eyeball, not on the Zoom. You made an actual appointment and flew to visit them. They would, have not implemented it. And the reason they didn't know that many people. They might have went to one networking meeting a month, maybe a chamber meeting, but that chamber meeting, they sat with the same 5 people, and those same 5 people knew the same 5 people. And it sounds silly, but they didn't know about coaches and consultants and different types of experts that could help them. So the 5% that did usually either found somebody or was referred to somebody. So this was another challenging moment for me to figure out, well, if I'm a connector and these 95% of the people don't hire somebody to implement these incredible ideas that should be brought to the world, what can I do? And long story short, that's when Commanding View started, where we physically connected people. Like I would get to know you, Cece, and introduce you physically to somebody, meaning over the phone or something, but, actually doing the connection. And then what was happening was with that is that it would still take months to get you two together, because of the fact that I usually had to go to a board meeting and pitch what Cece could do for their company. And then they would all have me, ask me all these different questions. Well, has she ever been quoted in Inc. magazine? Does she have a video? Did she ever, how many people watch her radio show? Whatever it would be that they would ask me all these questions. So I would go back and ask Cece to please send your book to Larry, please send your video to Sally, please send your bio to Shirley, whatever. And it would, as you can see, take months to get all this worked out. And because of that, often another project took precedence over hiring Cece to work in their organization. So I knew we had to come up with a way that people, their attention spans are really short. And they didn't also want to look at your YouTube channel, look at your, iTunes, look at your Facebook, all these different places, your website. So that's when we created one place that they could find everything out about that expert, and everybody that was on that committee or that board of directors could review your information, your interviews, your products, your books, your services, your bio, your videos, all this stuff in one place, and give the thumbs up or thumbs down in minutes. And that way they could hire Cece in minutes instead of a process that traditionally took months. So that's what we do in a nutshell.
Yeah. It's amazing too how quickly we have evolved with regards to, emailing and internet and all of these facets now. And like we just did our newspaper, the Going Solo Network newspaper.
Yeah, we just distributed it to all of our people too.
Yeah.
So
So we've so we just did that. So I mean, it's like everything is instant, right? And so sometimes it's like, oh, I made a mistake and I've sent it. It's like those kind of things. But we've all.
But at least you send it, because a lot of people, I always have to remind myself, good enough is good enough. Because Cece, when we try to make it perfect, we never ever send it.
Yeah. And the thing is like time is of the essence, right? And so if we're spending so much time worrying about everything that we do, we don't get anything done. So we just have to go with it. And when you were talking about like combining everything, this and that, and this and that, I was thinking to myself, I'm like everybody always says, oh, you're all over the place. I see you everywhere. And so it's like, if you had to pull me together like that, it's like, yeah.
But that's the difference. Then once everything is there, we also do the push and pull, where we do send out your blogs, your articles, your videos, your interviews as well to many, many more people than because it goes to everybody in everybody's database as a member of Link to Expert. I mean, like our last 2 magazines reached 317,000 people.
That's wonderful.
Meaning, even though it's all in one place, when somebody wants to find you and check out your credentials, that's one thing. But a lot of times they only want to find you when they read about you somewhere, like in a newspaper or a magazine or a blog or on social media, and then they want to learn more about you. But you have to tease them, and not just tease them. To sum it up, one of my mentors taught me this when I started too, and it changed my world. Remember, I was bragging that I'm a connector, so I was telling him too, and because I was like thinking this is wonderful. Anyway, and he says to me, Joe, it doesn't matter how many people you know. It matters how many people know you and what you can do for them. Oh, my world came tumbling down, because I was always thinking it was so cool because I knew these people. Well, it didn't matter if they didn't know me, and especially what I could do for them. So that's what we also created Link to Expert. What we just got done saying, we have to let them also know what these people can do for them. Because again, if these business owners work in their business, not on their business, they're not aware of emotional intelligence coaching, what that means to them, what it could do for their company. We have to break it down and be on like radio shows like yours and explain things so that they can listen to it and hear it, because some people are audible learners, some people are visual learners, some people like to read. It's all different, but you have to tell them and tell them again in multiple ways what you can do for them, so they would want to hire you. So that is the difference between having lots of connections, but also having a way to distribute to them what you particularly can do for them. It sounds so elementary.
You can know a lot of people, but if they don't, like you said, if they don't know exactly what it is that you do and how you can help, and then also remind people of what you do.
Consistently,
timely, right? You meet somebody years ago, and or several months pass or whatever, and you forget what that person is capable of doing, and then something will come across your desk, or you'll hear a show like this or whatever, and then you go, oh yeah, let me reach out to that person, because it certainly can help them. So yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
That's so true. You have to be consistent and actually frequent too. Frequently, consistently send information in different ways. Like we do it all different ways because of the fact that we know not everybody reads a press release, but we send out a press release every month for the last 9 years, just as an example, because we know some of the business owners believe it's gospel truth only if they read it from the Business Wire. And you can say the same type of information, just repurpose it and then put it in a blog for the people that really like to read blogs so that they can reply to it. Then you can even convert it into an article and put it in somebody's publication, like your newsletter. It really sounds crazy, but you have to tell them and tell them again in different ways, because what our area expertise is usually very much the same. But if you can explain it in different ways, like for an example, use a quiz or a survey, as well as different ways to get their attention and to take a couple minutes to go deeper to learn what it is you do or what they do, and you'll know then if also even if they're a good fit. Like you are a perfect example of with the interviews. Like when people get interviewed on your show and somebody's listening, they'll usually know right away, oh my goodness, I really want to hire that person because you ask such brilliant questions to go deeper. No, but to figure out about that person, because a lot of times, you don't know, even though you might have read their blog or their press release or whatever. But sometimes if you just like you are asking questions, it's more intimate. It's more like deeper,
Right. Well, people want to connect with you, and I do believe this in business too. They want to know about you. They want to have that, that relatability, and
Mm-hmm.
so you can maybe find someone in business that there could be 5 or 6 people doing the same thing. Well, why do you want to do business with them? And so you want to get to know that person. You want to learn about their integrity, and you want to learn about their journeys, and you want to learn about what can they really do for you, and are they really going to be focused on it? And there's so many elements within it, and so there's a lot of play that goes within that. And so I feel that that's very important, because we go so quickly now, because we have internet and we have emails and we have all those things, and we're blasting and we're all this stuff, but we don't really get to the surface of someone. And the people that we have on our show, such as yourself, it's really, I mean, when we take a moment to get to know them, we really start understanding the walk that they had to do to get to their expertise. And that's what I think is amazing. It's like, if you've gone through that journey and you've gone through those struggles and you are the expert in your field, then why wouldn't we want to do business with you, right? So it's like a no-brainer. But when we're just doing something quickly, we don't grasp all of that. So it's important to kind of sometimes slow down just a little bit, and being able to get it. But every person is different, so they grasp things differently. Like, these videos are great because people love videos, right? They love to be able to see, connect a little bit that way. They get a flavor like that. Then you have people that like to read, and so the publications are good, and that allows that to come through. And so there's just various different ways in which to market and get your information out in business, isn't there?
There really is. And I also like what you touched on a minute ago is like, even if there's just say 3 or 4 different people that have the same area of expertise, just say emotional intelligence coaching, because this also used to happen when I would go to the boardrooms and the committees and pitch 2 or 3 people that could be the right candidate for their project. And I would present their credentials and everything. And it was always interesting to me, Cece, how they did not pick the one that I thought they would pick. Not that I knew, but what I learned from that is I don't know that company's culture. So I don't really know which would be the good fit. I don't really know that company's inside and out of what type of person could benefit them, even though I know the credentials somewhat of the expert. But that's why we also had to make it different, that where you can find them and check out their credentials and call them. We call it a 7-minute strategy session to determine if they are the right candidate for them, and then hire them, because we learned we really don't know enough about the company and even about the expert, and that's why they really need to connect directly. We used to be the bottleneck when they would have to call us to call the expert. So we made it so much simpler. Everything has your direct contact information in, and they contact you directly, and you guys decide. And the other part of it, let's just face it, you might not want to work for that company when you find out about their culture. Maybe it's against your, just say, like they're into, they sell rifles. I'm just going to make something up. And you are against, guns. Well, maybe you wouldn't want to, work within their company to help them sell more rifles. I don't know. But, but that's the point, that, then you also get to decide if they're the right fit for you as a client, because of the fact that not everybody wants to work with everybody either. So it's really, another way for both parties to see if they're a good fit.
Yeah. And it's nice to be able to have a choice, of whether you
Right.
want to work with someone or you don't want to work with them, or if you want them to work for you or work
Right.
with you. So yeah, certainly, it's certainly great to be able to do that. Let's talk a little bit. I want to share your information. We're going to go on a quick break. And when we come back, let's talk a little bit about competition, because people are always worried about when you're connecting with other people, especially in the same field that you're in, they're worried about that competition. And so
Right.
we want to kind of touch on that because I think that's an important issue that most people won't talk about. So let's talk about the hard stuff, right? So Joanne, I want to be able to share your information. So it's Joanne Weiland, and her website here is linktoexpert.com. That's linktoexpert.com. And her phone number is 727-791-7338. So if you want to give her a call after the show, maybe talk with her a little bit more about your business, finding out what you can, how she can help you, how you can connect, that would be awesome. So that would be great. So your phone number again is 727-791-7338. So we want to make sure we do that. So we're going to go on a quick break. So Joanne, just kind of hang with us here, and
Sure.
we'll be right back. And it'll only be just a couple minutes. And I can't wait to talk a little bit about that competition because I think that's very interesting. So y'all, you're listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, the Business Showcase. I am Cece Shatz, your host, and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Gosh, it went by so quickly. I am so pleased to be able to have Joanne Weiland, my very good friend, here with us today. And we are listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is the Business Showcase, and I am your host, Cece Shatz, the Doyenne of Relationship Building. So let's talk, Joanne, a little bit more about business. I know when we left, we said we're going to talk about competition. So
Yes.
often people are worried about competition. Now, Joanne is with linktoexpert.com. She connects people every day. I mean, every day in many, many facets on the internet, through the website here, Link to Expert, but you also have wonderful publications that go out. You do tremendous emails connecting people. So, what would you say, Joanne, about the competition? Some people are worried about connecting in an environment where there's other people doing the same thing you're doing.
Well, exactly. And, that's a really good point because Cece, even with our platform of all these different experts, sometimes people will tell me, well, I don't want to join because you already have another, just say, life coach, part of your network. I said, yes, but in all fairness, you're either going to be the right choice or not. For an example, what we talked about a little bit earlier comes into play here, that you are either going to they're going to either resonate with you or not. And it sounds really crazy, but you're really not always the right fit, even though you both have the, say, even same education and sometimes even similar experiences and similar areas of expertise. But once they, especially again, go watch you on like Cece's radio show or whatever, they can tell somehow by the energy of the video if you're the right fit. They don't even realize it. I used to, when I would do this the traditional way of introducing people, and then we would get down to 2 candidates and they would fly, just say, to LA to, get the final interview to see which one would be the one that would get that project. They would always tell me, that executive would always tell me, Joe, within 30 seconds, I knew Cece was the perfect candidate for our project. And they don't realize it, but it's all different people call it different things, but it's the energy of that person. And a lot of times they can actually tell it, like you say now on video, but it's either you're like a fit or not. I mean, it's just, think about everyday life. There's people you meet all the time, whether they're in person or on, the TV or the radio or, on the show or whatever, on the computer. You kind of resonate with them or you don't. It's like, I want to keep listening to Cece's show or just say somebody else's show. You're like, I don't care if I ever watch that again. It's just kind of weird how we, connect with different types of people. And we don't even always understand it. Sometimes it's the backgrounds, the culture, the way they talk, the way they look, even. Sometimes, I mean, I've had people, that couldn't stand people just because they wore a hat. I mean, it sounds really silly, but we have prejudices more than we realize. And there's sometimes silly ones like wearing a hat, but when it is that way, it is. So it's really not, in my world, a true competition. It's more who is the best candidate for their project. And then, but going even a little deeper, sometimes it's multiple people needed to finish a project. And so then with the competition, instead of being competition, they work together. Two, three. One time we had 9 different experts work on one project because of the fact that everybody had a different area of expertise, and it was a huge, big project. So they could all do their area of expertise, and they were all intertwined and work together. And the reason that's so good, because then a lot of times too, in the future, when they are experienced with that person, instead of them thinking of them as a competitor, they think of them as a partner to work with on other projects. So sometimes one will hear about a project and then say, hey, Tony, you want to come over here and work with me on this new project? There's a deadline in 90 days or whatever it is. So I think it's just the way we look at it and embrace it and know, Cece, that there really isn't no competition, because you're either the right fit for that person or you're not, or that project. And, when we also stop looking at people as competitors and realizing, like in our world, when they bring in their list of contacts into their linked expert database and you now get exposure to their people, that also sometimes wigs people out. But think about it. Again, they all need different types of people. When you really work with executives and entrepreneurs, they have a different type of challenge regularly, if not every week, at least every month. And so they need different types of experts. They don't always need a life coach. Sometimes they need somebody to come in there and help them with their accounting. Sometimes they need somebody to come in there with that they merged with another company, and they need to figure out how to do team building to get the 2 organizations, people to collaborate. So it's always different. And that's why you want to be in front of other people's contacts as well, because sometimes they might need you, Sometimes they might need somebody else. Sometimes they might even know about you and refer you to somebody else. So it's just, instead of thinking of competition, think of, collaboration, of how we're really here to help each other overall.
Absolutely. Well, there could even be a project where you just don't have time to do it, right? And so you want to
Right,
bring
that too. Yes.
somebody else onto it. And the reality is if you've connected with someone who needs that work and you
Right.
then say, listen, I can't do it, but I refer such and such, then that's edifying that person. But the person that's also looking for the work, that needs the help, is really going to think highly of you because you're putting their needs ahead,
Right.
of yourself. You're saying, listen, I might not be able to do this, but let me help you find somebody that can do this. So it's really about your vibration, I think, too. It's like if you really truly care about other people, you care about the people you work with, you're going to do the best that you can so that you can, get the job done or refer someone to it, or whether it's good for you or it's not. So I think that truly is important. So let's talk a little bit about, and you touched on it, which I think is really important. And I think I'm seeing a great deal of shift that's happening in our business world today. I mean, we've always had it, but I think it's happening more and more now. And that is collaborating with people, collaborating on different projects. And I'm seeing it now throughout the internet where you're getting several, like, let's say, that you mentioned it, life coaches. You're getting several life coaches together that are talking about particular topics and doing seminars and doing things like that, versus worrying about competition. They're allowing their own personalities to shine. They're allowing their expertise to come out, and focusing on one particular thing. Now, I know you're really big in collaborating. So, what would you say about that?
I agree with you. I see a lot of virtual summits and stuff with similar types of people taking turns talking. I was on one on Friday, a speaker showcase, because recently I was in an anthology book that we became #1 international bestsellers again a couple weeks ago. And what we did was the speaker showcase, all of the different authors in the book were on this speaker showcase, and we each had like 7 minutes that somebody interviewed us and talked about our chapter. And that's just a perfect example of true collaboration, because of the fact that's how we became the #1 international best-selling authors, because all of us promoted it to all of our connections. And so more people bought our books, which in this case was how we got to the #1 bestseller on the launch date. And I've done this, type of thing over and over, because I really believe that nobody can know everybody, and even not know everybody, but know the right people that might resonate with, again, that person. So I love your example. It's so true. These virtual summits, I mean, nowadays we can't do, like in my case for Friday, book signings, but you do things like that. But again, we were all authors, so you can kind of say we were similar. And but again, different people will resonate with different people's story and want to work with them, because we put the stories out there really to get people to know what your area of expertise is. Because in this case, the book was called Engaging Experts. So it was all about what you and I are talking about today, more about the expertise of the different people. And then we're even putting out a companion magazine called Engaging with Experts in the next couple of weeks. And I mean, Engage with Experts, excuse me. And it's a complimentary one so that you can learn more even about that author in this case. And it could be a different expert. You don't have to have been in the book. But what I also said earlier about my mentor saying it doesn't matter how many people you know, who knows you and what you can do for them. The way to get to know them better is like with this magazine. We want them to look deeper. We want them to know if they have a radio show, if they have a podcast, if they have, their own blog, if they have been interviewed on these different shows too, not just their own, but if they wrote a book, all these different things that sometimes that's the one thing that gives the person that wants to hire you the aha to say, yeah, she's the right one. Because for an example, when you're a published author, it's amazing how your credibility automatically goes up. When you have your own radio show, all of a sudden your credibility goes up, because they to that person, that is such a huge monumental accomplishment that they want to work with you for that reason too. So it's not always one thing. And again, because many times it's multiple people that are making the decision of who to hire for that project. Because nowadays with people downsizing and right sizing, getting left go, well, these other, they still need different people with that area of expertise that they let go to finish that project, finish that, whatever they were working on. So the different people that are hiring you, sometimes one thing will be important to that one person and another thing will be important to that other person. But that's why we want to let them know what that expert can do for them in different ways, whether it's being with a crossword puzzle that they, try to find that type of expert, in their name that goes in the blank of that, or a word search, or other fun types of activities. I mean, we're creating all kinds of challenges and activities to go in the magazine just because we want them to know more about Cece, more about that person, because so that they can help decide if they are the right person to hire.
Yeah, I so totally understand that. It's what amazes me now is that people are being able to be so creative. And when you were talking about like the published author and also any other, I was good. What kind of popped in my mind is like the one hit wonder, right? So you do one thing and you maybe be a bit successful with that, but you can't just stop there. You got to continue in today's business world. You got to continue getting out there and really kind of letting yourself shine and being creative with doing that and don't hold back, And so it is true. And I have, for me, I'm not a big writer, so it's not one of my that feels very easy, doesn't come very easy to me, but I have published a book and I am in another book. But you can do it even if it's not your big go-to type of thing. It's something you can do, and there's different ways that you can do it, and so we can talk about that maybe another time. But yeah, so I like the idea of being creative in business, being creative in marketing, and just really connecting with those, just down to where you feel that relatability and how you can help each other move forward. It's like, why do we worry so much about people? I think we get in our own way if we start thinking that other people are going to rob us and they're going to take us. And I'll tell you a funny story. I had a pretty good friend from years back, and she kind of does a little bit of what I do, but not exactly what I do. And I mean, she started kind of copying everything that I was doing. And at first I thought, okay, about that. And then I started feeling like, well, okay, it's a compliment, right? If I'm doing good, she's kind of copying me down to the logo, almost to my logo, right? And then I started thinking, wow, can you believe that she's doing this? But then I started getting calls because her marketing was actually helping me because they remember my logo. So they're actually calling me and not calling her. So I thought, okay. So then I think she changed her logo because I don't think it helped her. It didn't help her to do that. So if you want to be deceiving or not, not be a true honest person in business, it's going to hurt you in the end. But if you want to be honest and help people and move forward, it raises your vibration and it allows doors to open for you and to be creative, and people are going to pull you along. They're going to say, hey, hey, Joanne, I got this. Let me, come and do this with me, or come and do that with me. And instead of being afraid of you, they're going to embrace you. And that's what makes wonderful business contacts. And so I think it's pretty cool. What you do is really awesome. So you guys must check it out. It's linktoexpert.com. That's linktoexpert.com. I personally am an affiliate. Now let's talk just briefly. We only got a couple seconds here. What is an affiliate to you, and explain that?
Okay, that we have different kinds. Like, you're one of our media affiliates, and we really value you because of the fact you can promote our members on your show, and just like we promote to our members that they could be on your show to contact you. So it's really a win-win-win for everybody, that they'll get more exposure. Another type of affiliate that we have are executive organizations. For an example, their members often pay $5,000-$10,000 a year to be part of this executive organization, where they do a lot of brainstorming, mapping, masterminding, and different things together, Cece, with their members to help them grow their businesses. And the reason they like to become an affiliate with us is because we give them Link to Expert as a free resource. And for an example, right now we have over 84,000 free articles, blogs, videos, podcasts, and everything from our experts on Link to Expert. So when their members have an issue, they can just go to Link to Expert, look up leadership, just as an example, and find different articles, blogs, videos, interviews with different people about leadership. So that's another type. And then the last but not least is, we even work with expert organizations, because we do want our experts to, they have to be there's a qualification process. Right. So we like when we work with them, because they usually have a certification process, not just say that they got laid off last week and they want to say they're a life coach this week. And, so they really have to have the, expertise. I mean, the experience is what I meant, to qualify them as an expert. And so, those are the types of affiliates that we embrace and work with, and it helps them and us, and of course our experts. We're always looking for what we call win-win-win situations.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that we had a moment to talk about that, because I think that that's important. Again, it's really about that business connection, opening up, being creative, allowing others to, really embrace them for where they're at, and it's very, very important to do that. And also give them a heads up, give them a hand up to be able to move forward in their lives. And that's a beautiful thing. You do a really good job with helping people. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on the show here with us, Joanne. So again, we have Joanne Weiland, linktoexpert.com. I'm going to share her phone number again. It's 727-791-7338. Again, it's 727-791-7338. And it's linktoexpert.com. She is one of our elites, so her information's on our website. So if you don't get it today, go back and listen to the show again. But you can also catch it on our website, which is goingsolomedia.com. Joanne, do you want to say anything real quickly as we close out the show?
I just really appreciate this conversation, because of the fact that not everybody is a connector, but you can actually learn to be one if you choose to. And if not, hook up with another person that is a connector and learn from them. Because I really do feel like, especially today in business, the real secret magic sauce, whatever you want to call it, is being, connecting with others.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you again. Again, the phone number is 727-791-7338, and it's link, LINK2TO expert, EXPERT.com. So you guys definitely reach out to her, Joanne Weiland. Thank you so much for being on the show today. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Cece.
You're welcome. Gosh, it went by so quickly here on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is the Business Showcase. I am your host, Cece Shatz, and I'll catch you next time. Make sure you check out all our shows on goingsolomedia.com. If you want to email me, I would love to hear from you. It's goingsolonetwork@gmail.com. And we'd love to have you on the show. If you'd like to be a guest, if you want a podcast, a show of your own, just let me know, reach out, and we'll help you do it. Again, our website is goingsolomedia.com. My email is goingsoloNetwork@gmail.com. I'm Cece Shatz. Love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.